was your guys' longest creative block?
Probably a day.
A day?
It must be nice.
Wow. Can I just give you
Oh,
an award? Because, man, I wish that was true for me.
Seriously.
How does it feel being like just so creative?
I guess it's not too hard.
Hello and welcome to Creativity Boost, the creative podcast that will brighten your horizon. Hey, I'm Bryce.
I'm Megan.
I'm Isaiah.
I'm Noel.
And we are your hosts. So we just want to introduce ourselves so that you guys will really truly understand who we are as creatives and just who we are as your hosts. So, Megan, would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah. So a little bit about me is that I'm studying to become a graphic designer and will be graduating next spring. Some of the ways I enjoy being creative is through design, painting, cooking, and just being outdoors.
Isaiah, would you like to continue?
Yeah, so I'm also a graphic designer that will be graduating next spring. I am creative through graphic design, but I also do it through sewing and using my graphic design skills to make clothes.
And Noah, what are you good at? What do you love?
Yeah, so I'm Noel. What I do is I'm a baseball videographer.
What does that include? Can you just explain that for me?
So I film kids in Hawaii during their games or as skills videos, and we post it on our Instagram and our Twitter, and just to give them exposure because the mainland kids have that advantage over us, so we like to do that for the kids back home.
That's really cool. I love that. Yeah, it gives you a lot of exposure when you use things like social media, for sure.
Yeah.
My name is Bryce. I am a photographer and cinematographer, and I love just helping people capture those special moments in life and help them relive those things forever, weddings, portraits, all of those things. And so today, it is our first podcast. This is our pilot. We want to introduce all of us by asking questions and really wanting to get to know each of us. So, yeah, I don't know. Who wants to start with the first question?
I can go ahead and start. How do you overcome creative block?
Whenever I'm in a creative block, I usually just take a step away from the computer, maybe play some games on my phone or go grab a snack, maybe watch some YouTube videos, just totally take my mind off of what I'm doing. And then maybe 10 minutes after, I go back to it and see if that helped. Yeah, so what I do is just pretty much take a step back and totally get my mind off of what I'm doing in editing.
Yeah, definitely creative block is one of those really tough things to get over for any type of art, no matter what it is, cooking or painting or video editing. All of them take a lot of time. And I think if you just sit there and do it all in one take, you forget about having a full perspective of what you're making. You get really stuck with that one moment or that one paint stroke or something, and that you get really distracted almost, and you need to be able to step away and really remind yourself that there are more than just that one perfectionist little stroke of whatever,
Definitely.
for sure.
I think for me, it just depends on how long the creative block is. Because I've had some that last a couple minutes and then some's a couple days or months. So for the shorter ones, I'll just go and distract myself a little bit and come back to it. But the longer ones, I've learned to kind of pick up a new medium just to look at the piece that I'm doing with different eyes, basically. And then it allows the piece to be bigger because I have those two new mediums that I can just figure out how to make them come together.
Yeah, Isaiah, that is such a great piece of advice. I think sometimes, we can focus too much on the medium that we're in. If we're if you're filming a video or if you're painting, kind of take a step back and maybe just take a break. That's totally okay. Maybe just put yourself in that position where you feel bored and you can kind of come up with some new ideas. Leaning into something that you've wanted to try, just being curious.
Yeah, for sure. So I think what kind of flows into that original question was what is that thing that helps you get started in your creative process? I know for me, when you're in that creative block, you just have to get something started or something, try something new like you guys were talking about. And I think for me, being that first thing that gets me started is walking around, talking to people and just seeing what's happening in their life. I feel like those conversations really help me figure out what is one relatable to a lot of people, and also like something that might be happening in my own life and that I can't really always just notice. So talking to people is a huge thing for me.
First thing I do to start is coffee. I need sometimes that just little caffeine kick. You know what I mean. So just starting out with, just at least just having like that, or just like a snack sometimes. Like I feel like that just helps me like get comfortable in my environment. And I usually, I would say like I kind of figure out where I want to go. Like where do I want to go and just sit, be creative, whatever it may be. Like if I'm doing any type of design, or whether it's like a painting or, photography, like I might go outside. If the weather's nice, like I just love being outside.
So I think I have another question that kind of stems off of all of this ideas. What is that thing that makes you want to create? I think a lot of us get stuck in what we're creating, but what is that why for you guys?
So I make clothes, so for me it's just something that like something new for my closet basically. Like I kind of get bored of my closet sometimes, so just like what's something new that I can like wear out that like makes my closet look a little different, that I can make like new outfits with, or like if somebody else needs something like new.
Sure. Yeah. Noah, do you have an answer?
So I guess what motivates me to stay creative is thinking like this could be my full-time job, like filming baseball and creating content for them. And I guess not having that 9 to 5 is what I'm really like don't want in life, because I want freedom. I want to spend time with my family. I want to do all these things, but if I have that 9 to 5, then probably won't be able to do those things. So with this baseball videography, I have best of both worlds. Like I love baseball and I love filming and editing. So I guess that's what motivates me to keep creating and trying to grow this thing that me and my brother started to hopefully be my full-time job in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because I think for us, especially in our stage right now, we're in college. We are studying whatever we're studying. And when we think about what we want to do in the future, it's a lot of being creative, like we are literally doing this for a job, like making money being creative. And that's a very strange concept, that you have to be creative this week, like if you don't be creative, you're not eating this week, kind of idea. So it is a very strange thing, but I think for all of us, we can say that that's what I want to be doing, that really pushes us to be creative, the best that we can be. And I think for me, one of the biggest ways to get past those stresses of life and stay creative is reminding yourself of those small things, like what are those goals that you want to achieve? Like, I want to make this my full-time job. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to spend time with my family. With those goals, that you can keep working, like there's not a reason not to stop working, like there's always a reason to be creative.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And I think for me, the why behind why I create is I think just to, just say it as simple as I can, is I enjoy it. Like I find so much joy just like being able to create, and I've always felt that way ever since I was young. And I felt like just growing up and kind of going through high school and everything, and like my first couple of years of college, I was always like had that like fear of being like, a creative for my career, because just of the, the things you hear, like, you're going to be a starving artist, or you're not going to make enough, or you can't make a living. And I think those are all such lies. To be honest, like there's such a huge need for creatives like us now, like especially in today's age with, digital platforms or whatever it is. Like, I mean, there's just so many creative avenues that we can use our talents and our skills and the gifts that we've been given just to, help change people's lives. Like, I love what you said, Bryce, like you find a lot of your joy in helping others and create those, unique, special moments. Like, that is super important.
And like the why for me especially is like, yes, helping other people for sure. But also, yeah, like you were touching on, God gave us gifts to be creative, and I think that would be really squandering our abilities and gifts if, you just give up on them, and that's what I love about being in college. You get to try all the things that you want and see how God has blessed you, you know?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, he's just like, that's how we've been designed. Even just like whether you think you're a creative person or not, like we all are all creative in our own ways. Like, you know, whether it's through, you know, like a specific creative medium like we've been talking about, but I feel like you can pull your creativity into areas in your life that are very ordinary, whether it's, you know, decorating your house or, you know, doing a science project or pulling in a math problem solving. I mean, there's so much creativity that goes into that because you're having to think outside the box. I mean, that is what creativity is. You have to come up with new ideas. And I feel like sometimes people struggle with that because they're like, oh, I can't come up with something new. Like, you know, it's hard. But I think, yeah, like there's just so many different ways you can use it.
Yeah, definitely. I think one question that I would have next would be, what is one project or group of things that has really felt like it got you through that tough time or whatever it was? I think I'm going to ask Isaiah specifically because I just want to know, what is there something like that for you?
Yeah. So going back to the creative block thing, I had a creative block from the beginning of quarantine until after quarantine. So that was a really long time. And then we had a fall art show right when we came back to school, like opened everything back up, which was in fall of 2021. So it was a really long time of having a creative block, and I didn't make anything really. And that was when I first picked up sewing, and that's when I first brought in sewing and graphic design. So I made like a bag out of my old clothes. I started working with like old curtains, and I just sewed them onto like old pieces of clothing because I wanted everything that I made to have meaning. So I just picked up old clothes that I didn't wear anymore. Being able to use something that I felt that had no meaning to me anymore, at least, and then just give it like new life, and see it with like a new pair of eyes is just like, it really helped me get back into like the creative juices flowing, basically.
Yeah, it's funny, like the more I'm thinking about it and like looking back at like quarantine, I feel like it gets all blurred. I'm like trying to distinguish. I'm like, what part of quarantine was I most creative? Because I feel like it just all blended. Since I kind of intentionally took a year off of school, I decided to just do part-time work. And so I was a barista for a little while, and one of my coworkers, we were just talking, and I kind of mentioned, yeah, I love to paint. And she had asked, she's like, hey, like, I would love it if you could like paint me something, like I'd totally commission you for it. And I was like, oh, cool. So I ended up, you know, painting and doing a little watercolor project, and it was really fun. Like I think that definitely was like a really like just like good project for me, like just kind of getting my mind off of things, especially with like working in a Target and a Starbucks. Like people can get kind of crazy, and I think just doing that was really fulfilling.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the themes that you brought up was almost like the idea of escapism, being able to just get away from whatever you're doing and work on something. I don't know about you, but that's what I love about art a lot, is that when you're creating it and viewing it, you get to be in this world, you know, this world that you can kind of control. That theme of escapism is huge for so many people. And that's one of the ways that they can get through those really stressful times is through their art. Even if it's just making baseball videos. I love that. You get to create what you love, you know? Like, you get to capture it. You get to share it. And people will literally love that video. And they'll love to share it. And that's one of the most incredible feelings in the world. Do you have any sort of, like, story about that at all? I don't know. Like sharing your video and people getting excited about it?
Oh yeah. I guess so. A couple of the first videos we posted, it was like just highlighting kids that we filmed, and then they're kind of blowing up. Like they were sharing it, and then their friends were sharing it on like their IG stories, and we were like, damn, like this is our first video, and it's kind of getting some views and some likes. So yeah, we just continued that, and then it just kept growing from there, and just kept blowing up. People kept sharing it. they were talking about it. Because, like, Hawaii is a small island, so, and the baseball community over there is very tight. So, like, you pretty much know everyone there. And I guess once we started posting those videos, everyone started talking about us, and pretty much every high school baseball kid knows, like, what we do and the things we post. So that's kind of cool.
Isaiah,
So
I know you probably use social media, right?
yeah.
All right. What do you think with creativity? What's your opinion with it in creativity?
I have, like, before I would definitely get down on myself because I always see things that I wasn't able to create in that time. But now, like, I think the biggest thing for quarantine, like, helped me was with my, like, a boost of confidence. Like, I didn't get the creativity part of it, but I got, like, the boost of confidence that I'd never had. So now when I see, like, things that I would never be able to create, I'm like, I can make a version of that. I can make something different out of what you made. Just, like, seeing, like, knowing the strengths that I have and, like, playing with those and, like, seeing how best I can tweak it to learn a little bit more about the strength that I have.
Definitely. You created your own clothing brand, and I think that's incredible with, like, the idea of using social media as well. I remember when it first came out, it was, like, all over social media. I remember all the artist friends that I have are, like, posting your stuff, like,
Yeah.
and I'm so proud of that work. That was crazy. I loved that. And I think that is a testament, one, to social media, but also friendships in the art world.
Definitely.
I don't know if if you remember any of that, or, like, can you tell a story about that?
So for me, it was like I came to Jessup and I, like, didn't talk to anybody, like, my freshman year. And then when I first started talking to people, like, that's when COVID hit. So then last year when I started the business up, like, when it blew up around campus, I was like, yo, I didn't even know that these people knew about this stuff and, like, or even knew that I existed because I never even talked to these people that much. So it was very, like, uplifting and also, like, shocking, because I didn't know about the support that I had. Because I always knew that the art community, especially in, like, a small school, is such a big thing, and it's something that we need, but I didn't know that it was something that I had, So, like, that's something, like, personal that I never really shared with anybody, but yeah, it was just, like, the shock of knowing that people had my back,
Definitely. Especially with art, man, like, it is one of the most difficult things to put your art out there and be like, look at this. You're going to judge it probably and be like, wow, that video, bad cuts, or, or that photo, a little blurry, They're going to critique everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that community around you, especially, even if you don't know it yet, they will have your back, Art can be a very lonely position, I bet we probably all know that a little bit. Yeah. But having that tribe of people around you to give you that confidence and that energy to keep growing, is the most important thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you do everything on your own, you will crumble. You will fall. Like, that's anything in life, If you do life on your own, you probably will fall,
Yeah.
And that's so important. And I love that story of,
I do too.
Yeah, you didn't even maybe know these people, and they still really cared about you, and they put their hard-earned money on you. And I feel like that's one of the most testaments to making art, is when somebody can give you money, something they've worked hard for, and they believe in your art. That's something completely different than I showed up to a free art show,
Yeah, that's wild.
And it's not saying that's to throw that out, but like, you made something big, and I loved that. And I remember seeing it, and I have a friend, Sam, she was just so proud of you. And I remember that she just was, like, so excited for you. And I just love that. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think the final question that I have for you guys, hopefully to put the nail in the coffin a little bit for this first podcast, this pilot episode, the question would be, what is your favorite thing about creativity?
I think for me, it's personally just like being able to grow into who I feel like I've meant to be. Like, I feel like I've just been designed to be creative, and I feel like just whatever it is, like there's so many different ways that I find fulfillment in being creative. One of them is just being able to just share it with other people, make a difference. And it's also just like, it's just super like rewarding too, to just like be able to make something that you're excited about and and that you love doing.
I think my favorite part is like the realization that creativity isn't a broad subject and it's not a broad idea, because you can have creativity in literally anything, even in just like writing a paper that you don't want to write. So I think just knowing that you can have creativity in literally everything that you do is like such a creative boost of like just being able to like have freedom in everything that you do, because like there's always going to be guidelines, but no one's ever going to take away your freedom of what you want to create. So just like knowing that is like eases my mind basically.
Being able to express yourself and share the things you create to like pretty much the world. And I guess that's what keeps me going, like being able to, make people's day, make people like get opportunities that they never had before, which is what we're trying to do in our company. So yeah, I guess that's my favorite part. Like besides all the money, besides all the recognition you get, it's just doing something for someone else at the end of the day.
The money, the fame, that's all great. Yeah, that should have been my answer. Yes, definitely. I love that answer. I love all you guys' answers. That was great. I think that is really important, just to really nail down what you love as being creative, That was our last question. That is a very crazy thing to say. But yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned for the next couple of episodes. Our season will be full of asking questions, figuring out like just different ways to stay creative. I think in our answers we had today really give you like little tips and tricks and things like that to stay creative. I know we talking about like Walt Disney and things like that. I don't know. I think Megan did a great job of explaining it earlier, but do you want to explain a little bit about like what else are we going to be talking about?
So yeah, we'll be talking about Walt Disney persevering repeatedly in his career to ultimately build one of the most successful companies to exist. And we'll play, some cool movie quotes throughout there to just kind of keep y'all entertained. But yeah, we're super excited for that episode. So yeah, just stay tuned.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and just make sure you listen to us on all your favorite podcast streaming services. And follow us on Creativity Boost on Instagram. So I hope you guys all have a great day. And thank you for listening. See ya.